Hi guys, I'm Errai, and in this video we are going to take a look at this fast Bluetooth bad boy. And don't worry, this video won't be just my dummy wannabe YouTuber face mumbling something in front of the camera. There will be some actual tests. Don't forget to say I got this thing for free, and it is an honest and unbiased review, alright? Alright. Whoop. Well, that was weird. I don't know who this guy is. But what he said. Exactly what he said. So let's unbox this thing already. Woo! So as you can see, this box comes inside another box, and no, I am not going to make an Inception joke right there. So let's open it. This goes here, this goes there, and inside is our actual box. Let's get rid of this one. I think it looks pretty premium. They have redesigned several months ago. And you pop this one up. Oh, here is a very short startup guide with a large BuWizz logo. Now inside the box there are 2 sheets of stickers and the actual BuWizz itself. So let's take this one out, and the rest of the box is pretty much empty. A whole lot of air, but it looks pretty great, so I don't mind. Now that was the shortest unboxing ever, so let's take a look at the stickers and BuWizz now, shall we? Inside the box you will find 9 unique sticker designs and a pair of stickers of each kind. It also appears that the sticker size matches the dimensions of some of our LEGO pieces, which is definitely a nice touch. Now let's take a look at the BuWizz itself. On the top you will find 4 number ports where you can connect your motors and lights. And in between the ports you will find an LED indicator, an on-off switch, a charging port, and a mysterious port which is meant for future add-ons and extensions. At the very bottom you will find 4 screws which you should not screw with because you might lose your warranty perhaps, and a nice BuWizz logo in some of the anti-studs. The BuWizz is exactly 4 studs wide, 8 studs long, 3 bricks high, and if you put a tile on the top, it will be as tall as a 1x4 brick standing on its shorter side. But how does it compare to an official LEGO battery? Well, it's exactly 1 brick shorter, which in some mocks might be a true lifesaver. I think we don't need to compare BuWizz to this enormous battery box. Like, the size difference is huge. Also, let's not forget that one BuWizz is actually an equivalent of this battery box and 2 IR receivers. Like 2, but I only have 1 on hand, so you get the idea. This thing is way smaller than this entire setup. Color-wise, BuWizz is actually darker than the dark bluish grey and the ancient dark grey. However, the dark bluish grey came out a little bit lighter in this shot than it is in actual life. Though once placed next to a bunch of dark bluish grey bricks, BuWizz becomes nearly indistinguishable. So now let's take a look at some of the specifications of this product. According to the official website, it has a Bluetooth range of 60 meters. And here is what it is in miles. Furthermore, I bet you have heard countless times about the speed of this thing. It's fast and ludicrous mode, but believe it or not, it has 4 different speed modes. Here they are listed with their respective voltages. And all you need to know about this electrical stuff is that the power function system works at around 7 to 9 volts, depending on the battery, and anything above that makes the motors run significantly faster. And that's precisely what the ludicrous and fast mode do. We are going to test this. So right now you are probably wondering what those slow modes are for. Well, they were designed to work with old LEGO Technic motors and some old train motors. Also, this thing has 7.5 watt-hour battery. So if my calculations are correct, if you run this thing on normal mode, the battery inside is about the same capacity as the 8878 rechargeable battery. Finally, we got all those numbers out of the way. So, let's test if they are actually true, shall we? A little disclaimer. The weather in the following shots was definitely against me. The sun was as bright as it gets, the wind was really strong, so I couldn't record any useful audio, and since I couldn't see my camera, be prepared to witness some of the finest framing on this channel ever. Period. Let's carry on with the video. So, I'm not in my LEGO cave for once because we will be testing the Bluetooth range of BuWizz. And the range doesn't just depend on the BuWizz but also the phone. So here I am holding a relatively new phone on the left and an old brick on the right. Alright, you can go now. But first, let's set the bar using power functions. And the back of the vehicle is completely uncovered for the best range. By the way, you can see the video of this poor looking thing on the right. Not me, the mock. What a cutie. Alright, let's start. Let me speed it up for you. And to be honest, I was quite amazed by how far it got. I was willing to bet all my money and my future wife that it would not surpass 5 meters, but actually it reached 10. My mind was blown that day. Alright, let's cover it all up. I am pretty sure we can forget about the 10 meters we got before. You can go now. Let's speed it up again. And my mind was blown once again. This time our subject got around 8 meters. Let's test the BuWizz now. I will be using the relatively new phone. This word is difficult, alright? Again, let's increase the speed. In this run BuWizz got 21 meters, which is definitely a lot more than power functions, but I thought it would do a little bit better. Though a little bit later I found out exactly why it wasn't able to go any further than this. I switched to the old brick and the results surprised me quite a lot. This time our subject got to over 31 meters and I feel it would have gotten even further if it weren't for my terrible driving skills. And just like with power functions, I decided to cover up the vehicle and see how it affects the Bluetooth range. My mind was blown once again this day. Our subject decided to surprise me once again. This time it got to the very end of the sidewalk, which is around 35 meters long. And thanks to my degrading driving skills, we know that BuWizz remained responsive until the very end when I rode into a curb. Let's conclude this test by looking at the best power functions run and the best BuWizz run. I think it's safe to say that BuWizz has at least tripled the range of power functions, if not more. Also, it's very difficult to judge the Bluetooth range when your vehicle is upside down. Right now we are going to compare the speed of power functions with all 4 speed modes of BuWizz. In this test I was using a 9V power functions battery. And the difference between the BuWizz 7.2V normal mode is quite minimal, to be honest. And this is the difference between the power functions and the ludicrous mode. The difference is huge. Probably I don't need to tell you which one is which. Let's see which one is more powerful. PF is doing a pretty good job and it got stuck. I was trying to move it into another spot and once I managed to do that, it got stuck again, and this time it was not going anywhere. So I just gave up. After about 5 minutes of trying, I finally managed to ride across this entire pebble pit without a single hiccup. And yes, it was a challenge. And this is the very first attempt using BuWizz. I was afraid it would shake off some pieces for my mock. I decided to go even further and test it on even more difficult terrain. And power functions power vehicle couldn't move anywhere. All it did was some twerking. So after several seconds of twerking I just gave up. And the arrogant BuWizz decided to trash power functions by doing a burnout. What a jerk, right? And another burnout? And then it was going so fast that it made my vehicle disintegrate. Not cool, man. But let's take a look at the damage. Yeah, sorry for the shakiness, I was a little bit too amused at the moment. So right now let's talk about the battery life of BuWizz, and in my opinion it's pretty good. Over the entire course of working on this video I had to charge it only twice, and that includes both speed test and the range test. Also keep in mind that the range test, like every single run in this test took about 10 tries, so you can count how many tries is that. And I also played around with BuWizz, tested, put it in my K9 like you've seen, and just played around with it because it was actually fun. So I think the battery life is pretty good on this one. And it's definitely more reliable than the other power function batteries, because usually when I put fresh batteries inside, I felt like it was fast for maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes and then it slowed down. And then it was really slow until the batteries died. And with BuWizz it's not the case. It's equally fast whether it's 100% charge or it's almost dying. And yes, in the speed test, yes, at the very end of the speed test, my BuWizz was almost dead. This was very difficult. And since we are talking about the battery life of BuWizz, let's talk about its charge time. And BuWizz needs about 3 hours to be fully charged. So, now would be a good time to take a look at the app. Well, when I was almost done shooting this video, BuWizz has released a new app. A totally new app with a ton of new features, which I haven't played with. So I decided to review the app in its own separate video, and once I'm done making it, it will be linked here. And for now, let's just skip the entire app part and let's move on. Before we conclude this video, I want to include some of my thoughts and impressions about BuWizz, its ergonomics, its form factor, and some other things. So let's dive in! Unplugging power functions cables almost always resulted in a broken finger, or two. You could also use a brick separator, which is always extremely inconvenient. Luckily though, BuWizz creates a perfect amount of friction. Wires are connected very firmly, but you can unplug them without breaking a sweat or bones. Bye bye brick separator. Speaking of friction, all studs on the top of BuWizz hold the bricks very well. Though the anti-studs on the edges could use a little bit more clutch power. On the other hand, anti-studs in the center are perfectly useful. They have a ton of clutch power. Bigger bricks can be placed anywhere on the BuWizz, and it will hold them just fine, even on the edges. And the studs on the top work perfectly fine. However, it is important not to cover the top of BuWizz too much. You need to leave the charging port and on-off switch exposed, or at least easily accessible. It might also be a good idea to leave some room for the wires. I have also noticed that the on-off switch is very sensitive. It can be a good thing when your BuWizz sits deep inside your mock. Let's conclude this long video right now. So, is BuWizz so much better than power functions? Should you get one? Definitely yes, to both questions. BuWizz is miles ahead of power functions, and I am not just talking about its Bluetooth range. It is way smaller and way faster. You get a Bluetooth receiver, a powerful battery with a great battery life, get 4 motor ports in a very small package. Its power functions equivalent would be almost twice as large, if not bigger. Is it worth the price though? Should a broke iPhone like you and me spend all this money on this small Bluetooth bad boy? Definitely yes, it is worth your hard-earned money. And I know it might seem easy when I got this thing for free, but trust me, you will not be disappointed. Right now I have 2 BuWizz units, and most probably I am not going to use power functions ever again. Though I might try to get my hands on the upcoming Control Plus system, so stay tuned for a comparison video maybe? Yeah, stay tuned. The funny thing is, the very first time I played with BuWizz, I had as much fun as I had many years ago as a tiny kid messing around with his first big Technic set. This set, by the way. It was a cool set. And I know, it just felt really nice. A nice throwback, if you will. I also wanted to mention that... Come on, in the middle of the video... Who that? Did you remember to mention that they can buy instructions? Yes, I was about to do this right now, so you forgot. What a moron. No wonder he has 300 subs after 3 years. Where did he even get my number? But yes, you can buy instructions for my mocks, links down below. Alright, let's wrap this video up. It's been a long one. Though it came out a little bit shorter than I actually expected it to be. So, it's nice. And, oh, by the way... Wait! Oh, hit my mic. It would be an Errai video without a fat cut at the end. Right, Max? Right? Say bye.
Fuck off! I mean, meow!
Alright, now when we got all our... And what about the battery life? Also, this thing has 7 points. Let's take a look at some specs. Actually, it has 4 different speed modes. Here there are. It's a great. Up you go. The weather in the following tests was definitely against me. The sun was as harsh as it gets. The wind was really hard. Strong, not hard. That's what she said.